Hello and welcome to another Salesforce Pro Suite self-implementation video where we're teaching you how to self-implement Salesforce without the price of an expensive consultant. So in today's video, what I'm going to walk you through is walking you through how to edit a pick list and how to add pick list fields to your records. Because if you didn't notice already, when you go to an object, and if I want to go add a new field, I don't have an option to create a pick list in this field. So I find that frustrating because maybe I want to edit existing fields, existing values, or I want to add new ones, but I'm not sure how to do that. So you got to close out of here. It's not in there. Instead, you have to go into the advanced settings. You can either click this advanced settings and navigate to the account object, or I like this quick link that takes me directly to this account object and setup. So real fast, let's go back here. The field that we're going to edit is on the account. And what the field that we want to edit is this type field, because as you can see, we have a whole bunch of objects of options there, and it's really just wasting our end users' time. When there are this many options, especially if you don't use very many of them, it's frustrating to have to scroll through and find the one that you want. So let's clean this list up so it's a better user experience for our users. Okay, so we're going to again go to this edit account object, and I got to make myself smaller here. All right, so you're in the account object, you go to fields and relationships, and you can scroll down and you can find type, or you can do a quick type here and just type it in. And I'm going to pull that open, and here they are. These are the pick lists that I want to clean up. So I will probably use competitor and customer, and probably not going to use investor. So I'm going to hit OK. My first run of this demo, I was trying to there are times where I try to deactivate several at a time. Sometimes it works, and other times Salesforce yells at me for it. The system gets mad at me. So I'm just going to show you how to deactivate a few here. So you can deactivate that. The other option that you have is that some people want to rename the pick list values, and you can do that too. So I can either add new values there, or maybe instead of customer, maybe we call our clients. And we want to put that in the value as well. This API name is there because maybe if you're importing data, or if you've got an integration, there are times that maybe the integration says customer and you want it to map to the client. That's actually a slick, efficient way that works. Otherwise, if you don't have to worry about that, just make them equal the same thing. You can reorder them here. So maybe I want them to be in alphabetical order because maybe they weren't. Other now should, or maybe I want other at the bottom, right? That's a very common use case. So I click other, drop it down to the bottom. I can add a default value there. Sorry, I went really fast. I can add a default value. I tend to not though, especially on this one, because you want people to make sure they pick. If you're importing data, or if they're adding new customers, you want to make sure that they pick it and that they're not just bypassing the default. Maybe I need to add another option here. A common example, one's not coming to mind right now, that would be common for most people, but you can hit new and then you can add more values there. So that's a great just little demo of how to update that pick list. But let's say we want to add a new value, a new pick list. And so let's go here. There are lots of reasons you might use a pick list. So maybe you want a pick list to say what is their primary, if you sell CRMs, you're going to maybe have a pick list that says current CRM, or maybe you want to do a rating scale. Is this an A, B, C, or D client? Maybe you want to have an active, inactive, or super active, whatever you want. You can create a pick list. So we went to fields and relationships. We click new. We scroll to pick list, we click next, and then this is an important step to walk through because a lot of times I will use a checkbox for this, but there are times where it's better to have a pick list. So two things here. One is there is this default, it's a global pick list value set. If this is going to be a pick list you're going to use in a lot of areas, so again, like industry can tend to be one, although Salesforce that already exists in Salesforce, maybe sometimes you have a status field where you always use the same values. You might want to think about creating a global pick list value set, which I don't go into detail here. You can actually also convert these to global pick lists after you've created them. But in this case, let's say we want to say inactive, or maybe they're just neutral. They're not like they're, or sometimes I see people say, do not reactivate, like where you like don't bring them back as a client, like never do business again, or active. But let's just kind of keep it simple. Let's just say we want inactive and active because we want to force people to say whether or not this is an inactive or active client or prospect. And so we go ahead, you can choose these values here where you display them alphabetically. You can choose to have a default value here if you want, or you can go back in and edit it like we showed you before. And then you can add your description if you need to. I tend to try to add a reason why I added it, but if it's pretty self-explanatory, sometimes the help text is more of an annoyance to the users than a value add. And then again, required, but this is at the database level, so I would not recommend checking that box there. All right, so let's go ahead and hit next. Now these, again, are different options than you're used to on that custom setting wizard, and so you'll want to pay attention here. These are the profiles of where you don't, the way standard Pro Suite is set up, I would just leave these as is, unless you need to make a field where the users can't edit it and you want it read only. Then you would probably come to the standard user. You could mark it for all of them if you need to, even the system admin, because system admins can access and edit all fields. So if you needed to, this is what I would do if you needed to make it read only. If you don't, then just take that off and then go ahead and hit next. And then this is going to ask you, do you want to add it to your page layout? So to me, these are typically handy. In your quick settings, it just does this for you automatically. So again, just following that same order, you can click yes and save, and there it goes. Just know that once you've added it there, you need to go into your page layout and reorder it, right? Maybe it's going to default, it's going to throw that field in there at the bottom, and maybe you instead want it here below type, and maybe instead we want to make sure this is required at that field, that page layout level. All right, threw a lot at you. Save that quick, go back to the account, and our new pick list values should be updated. Let's see if we got rid of some here. We did. We can go back and get rid of more because there are probably still a few more that we would want to get rid of. And then this active field. So it just took a minute to load that pick list, but here it is. So then you have your client, and then you have your active or inactive status, and you can go ahead and save that record, and you're done. So again, pick lists are super valuable. They're useful for your users to implement. One thing that's super important, when you create a pick list, the most common issue that I see is when people create a pick list and in the value options, there are too many that the user can choose from, in the sense that too many match what the user is trying to go for. So for example, if you have a pick list for reasons why you won the opportunity or why you lost it, and the user's like, well, 5 of these apply, or they're too similar to each other that they don't know which one to pick, that will give you, the problem is it just doesn't give you accurate pictures and accurate understanding of your data when you're trying to run the report, because the users are really going to pick inconsistently. So even like in industry, if a person, or maybe industry is not the best example, but a status, right? Like if a client feels like it could fit within multiple of those values, then again, you just don't get great reporting and an understanding of what's actually happening with your clients and your data. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, make sure your takeaway is to go fix that type field, look at the other objects, key objects you're using, and get rid of any values that you don't want, add or edit the new ones to what you want, and add any any pick list fields that you need for your data that you're planning to import. So again, hope you like this video. Please subscribe and let us know in the comments if this is useful for you, what your problems are, if this worked for you, if it didn't, what your favorites are. We want to hear from you, and we'll continue to make content that's relevant and helpful to you as you self-implement your Salesforce Pro Suite.